I don't know about you, but I've been wondering lately, have we been watering down Nike and Jordan brand's history with all the retros back to back to back? There are times in sneaker culture where I feel like history is really, really important. And I feel like as we get more and more into this game, so often the history is sort of forgotten. And I say forgotten in the sense that as people get older, the true history of where a lot of this started, and most of this started with Michael Jordan, somehow seems to get lost. And that's because I feel like Nike and Jordan brand have an opportunity that they are missing every year that goes by. History is really, really important in general because we should always remember the things that came before us. Reason being is so we don't repeat mistakes. But also, history creates narratives. If you look up the definition of history, everything that is encompassing the history has a lot to do with these narratives. And when it comes to Nike and Jordan brand, they have the most stories to tell. They have the most history. Yes, the history doesn't span as far as, say, Adidas or Puma, but the history in the short amount of time that they have revolving around Michael Jordan is truly, truly key. And over the last 40 years, Jordan brand has created tons of stories. Michael Jordan has created tons of stories and tons of history.
Jordan to the circle, puts the shot in the air, good, the game!
And the sneakers themselves in many ways embody that. One of the things Nike did last year is they changed CEOs. And then they said that they were going to be opening up the vault. And between last year and now this year, we have seen so many shoes that we thought would never, ever come out releasing. Shattered backboards, Wu-Tang dunks, you name it. Now, retros have been really big in the culture for a while, probably for the last 24 years or so, and they have really ramped up over time. But a lot of the OG colorways, not just of Jordans, but Nikes in general, generally have, I would say, a 5 to 6 year on average period between when they release. And most of the time throughout the year, we don't see as many releases as we do now, or we didn't historically. Nowadays, it feels like we have 100 releases a month. I'm not sure if that's necessarily a good thing or not, but it's just true. It's just objectively true about where sneaker culture is. There are a couple things about Nike opening the vault that could be seen. First of all, everybody getting access to shoes that they thought were impossible. The undefeated fours, the Wu-Tang dunks, shoes like that. Having that access means a lot to a lot of people. So in a way, that's a good thing. But when it comes down to how you spread these out, 2025 seems like it's rife with some of these shoes that we thought would never, ever come out. And I've been wondering to myself, as I've been seeing retro after retro come out and grail after grail coming out, I have been wondering to myself if the frequency at which these are releasing is watering down the idea of the nostalgia, watering down the idea of a true retro. These were supposed to be unobtainable, and now they're so obtainable that they just continue to happen one right after the other. Yes, every single release isn't necessarily widely available, but the point is that we seem to be getting carpet bombed with releases. We seem to be getting carpet bombed with all of these shoes that we felt like were unobtainable, that we were never going to get. I've been wondering if that's watering down the history a little bit. I've also been wondering if that actually matters. Does it only matter to me? When I think of the shattered backboards, there's a story behind that. It's a loose story for a lot of people, but it's a story nonetheless. One regret that I have is that Nike and Jordan brand don't traffic in that all that often. They have done that with the Reimagined series in a way, and I did a review on the Black Toe Jordan 1s. Lots of history nods there. But heading into these releases, I don't see Nike and Jordan brand really leaning into the history the way that I would like. I think it'd be great if they actually re-explain the story, do a social media campaign. On sneakers, they do have some of that, but it's not nearly enough. In my opinion, they really should be retelling these stories because they need to connect those stories to the younger people that are coming up in the culture. For many, it just has to do with copying the shoe. It really has nothing to do with the story. It has to do with the clout that comes with it. And I know for me personally, I do feel somewhat regretful that that's happening because the history does very much matter to me. And I look at my collection and I think about the shoes that I have been collecting lately. And they have been OG colorways. They have been nostalgic colorways. The white cement 4s, the hot lava AirTech Challenge 2s, even the reimagined black toe. So many of those are steeped in history. They're steeped in a story. And to me, that matters greatly. And I know that the frequency that we've been seeing these releases has made me feel like I don't want to participate as much because I want to keep them sacred. Maybe for a lot of people, the history doesn't matter. The idea of a shoe being unobtainable is that it's supposed to remain sacred. Now again, they're limited. I totally understand that. But I'm talking about having grails month after month after month. That was never the point of the culture. And I feel like the mass consumerism is what Nike's trafficking in. And they're forgetting and diluting their own history to the point that a black toe Jordan 1 sits on the shelves and is discounted and people don't care about it. And I wonder if that's a ripple effect of just constantly being barraged by releases, constantly being barraged by retros. Retros are supposed to be sacred because you're not supposed to get them all the time. And it feels like it's ramping up to a point that, what's the point? Where's the nostalgia? Does it really matter what the history is anymore? I don't want to see that in sneakers, and I know you don't either. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments. How do you feel about the vault being open, the frequency at which these shoes are releasing? Do you care about the history at all? Does it really matter to you? Or do you just want the shoes because you want to wear them, you never could get them, and you want people to recognize you in them? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you all next time.